Hello guys, my name is Umo. I'm a fashion entrepreneur and pattern drafter. Welcome to University of Pattern Drafting, where I share my expertise in pattern drafting and garment construction through sewing tutorials. Today's tutorial is going to be on how to draft a pattern for this monostrap dress with the flare at the knee area. First off, the fabric that was used for this dress, I think, is kind of like maybe a crepe fabric or a soft scuba fabric, but my client wants to replicate this same style with raw silk fabric, so I'm going to have to be using princess cut method to draft the pattern for the monostrap part of this dress. Okay, so first off, I start by drafting out my pattern, princess darts pattern. So I marked my bust point, under bust, as well as my natural waist. My natural waist is 2 inches above my navel. So I'm doing the same thing on the other side so I can have an accurate and straight line. And then I'm just going to draw out all the horizontal lines for my vertical measurements. So this is my under bust line, and then this is my bust point line. So just go ahead and do the same. So now the next thing I'm going to be doing is to create my armhole box. To create my armhole box, I'm marking out my shoulder width measurements. The client shoulder width is 14 inches. 14 divided by 2, since the paper is on a fold, is 7 inches. So that's what you can see me marking. And then my armhole depth that I'm going to be using for the client is 8 inches. So this is what you can see me marking. So I'm creating my armhole box. So this is me creating my armhole box. So notice that my paper is on the fold, guys. Like, this is really important because we're drafting a monostrap pattern. So I'm just going ahead to label my lines. This is my bust point line, my under bust line, as well as my waist line. The waistline I'm referring to is where the cut of the dress is going to be. So that's what you can see me doing. So now the next thing now is to create my shoulder slants. My shoulder slants is 0.75 inches. So I'll just connect that to the edge of my pattern paper, the folded edge of that pattern paper. So just do the same thing that you can see me doing. If you haven't subscribed at this point, guys, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button right now, because I would be uploading a lot more helpful tutorials. So I'm going ahead, so I want to create my princess dart. So I have measured what I have left after my shoulder slant, and I am folding my tape rule to divide that into 2. So I'm marking that exact point. Can you see that? And then I'm going to go in by 1/4 of an inch. You can do between 1/4 and 3/8 inches at that point. So that's what you can see me doing. And then I'm going ahead to create my bust span line. The client's bust span is 8 inches. 8 divided by 2, since the paper is on fold, is 4 inches. So this is what you can see me marking at this point. And so I'm drawing my vertical apex line. So now from that bust point, I'm going to connect that apex line to the princess dart point that I marked on the armhole box. So I raised that line up by 1/2 inch so that I don't have an overly sharp point at that place. So I'm just using my curved ruler to connect both points. So connect it directly to that 3/8 inches point that you marked, not your armhole box, the 3/8 inches point. So that's what you can see me connecting it to, because that's what's really important. So I've connected, I just extended the line, but it's actually that point that matters. So that's what I've connected it to. So from that 3/8 inches point, measure 1 1/4 inches inwards, just the way you can see me doing. So I've measured 1 1/4 inches inwards, and then I'm going to create another line from that apex line, another curved line to meet that point. So I've created a dot, like an arm side dot, guys. Can you see this? I've created an arm side dot this way. So can you see this is a dot that I have created at my armhole side. So now I'm going to create another dot at the underbust area. So to create a dot at the underbust area, just measure 1 3/4 inches from your apex line, just the way you can see me doing. So measure 1 3/4, that's 1 3/4 inches, as you can see me measuring. And then on your apex line, come down by 1/2 inch, just so that you have a smooth curve, so that you don't have too many points. So connect that, use a curve to just connect that to the 1 3/4 inches point that you marked. So can you see that? You can see that the diagram is beginning to make sense, guys. So this is me just tracing out all of my curves. So now the next thing now is, since we've created a curved line, now we're going to be joining both panels. So you have to measure that line, this is the apex line, and then measure this new curved line that you drew to ensure that they are the same length. Definitely the curved line will be longer, so you would have to shorten it. So I'm transcribing the same measurement to my curved line. Can you see, slightly longer? So I'm marking the exact point where it should be. So I'm just going to measure also 1 inch from the apex line at that point, and then connect both points. So connect the points that you created on the curved line to your 1 inch on your horizontal waistline. And then you have to create a dot on the other side. To create a dot on the other side, just measure 0.25 inches from your apex line on that other side, and then just connect it to the bust points, just the way you can see me doing. So can you see that we're almost done? So I went ahead to create my neckline, which is not really important. You can skip this portion because it's really not important. So I'm just trying to create my neckline box. That's what I'm trying to do. It's not really important, so you can skip this point. I think I used 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. Then I created a box, which is what you can see me doing here. And then draw a horizontal line. If you want to understand how this is done, go back to my video on how to draft the perfect basic bodice pattern. So I explained this very well. So I drew a horizontal line, measured what the horizontal line is, and then divided that into 3. That's why you could see me folding you saw me folding my tape rule into 3. So I've just created my curve. Okay, so the next thing now is to impute my circumference measurements. So for my center front, I'm measuring all of my circumference measurements divided by 4, and also imputing 1 inch same allowances by the side. So can you see how I'm measuring this? Measure to the first dot line. Measure to the first dot line. Move your tape rule to the third dot line. Can you see that? And then continue measuring, and then mark the measurements that you have. Also impute your 1 inch allowance. Do the same thing on the waist, and then just draw out your side seam lines. So draw out your side seam lines. If you haven't subscribed at this point, please hit the subscribe button. And if you have already subscribed, thank you guys for subscribing already. If you have questions as regards this video, make sure you drop a comment in the comment section of this video. My side seam allowances are usually 1 inch because that's what I'm used to. If you prefer maybe 2 inches or 1.5 inches, you can go ahead and use whatever measurement works for you. So now, because we're going to be joining both panels, you need to ensure that what you're going to be joining, they're all the same measurement. So I'm measuring the first dart leg up onto that 0.25 inches point that I marked. Can you see that, guys? So I'm measuring up onto that point. I think I have about 6.5 inches. So I'm going to transcribe that same measurement onto the second dart line. Can you see what I'm doing? So I'm marking that same 6.5 inches. Can you see that? So that it is the exact same thing. And then from that point, you now draw your arm side. Do you understand? Create the curve for your armhole. Can you see? Connect that to the side seam. So can you see? That's basically all that you have to do, guys. So also do the same thing for the other side. I'm measuring from the bust point to the waistline. Can you see? And then I'm going to transcribe that same measurement to the second panel. It has to be the same length, guys, since we're going to be joining them, so that one is not shorter. Can you see that this one is longer? So I'm going to shorten that line. I'm shortening it by maybe a 1/4 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch, because that's the excess that I have. So I've created a new horizontal line. So that's the one I am going to be using. So I'm going to also create a side dart, guys. So to do that, come down from your bust point line by 1 inch, between 1 and 1.5 inches. So the trick to this one is the distance between your front shoulder to waist measurement and your back shoulder to waist measurement. So that's what you are going to use to create this dart. So this client's own is 1 inch. That's why you can see me using 1 inch. So connect that 1 inch to the bust point line, but not directly to the bust point line. Move away from the bust point by maybe 1/2 inch so that it's not too sharp. So can you see I've created my dart? So just go ahead and do the same thing, guys. And so I'm just shading all my darts so that you know where all my dart points are. So that is a dart. I have a dart by the side, and then I also have a waist dart, guys. So this is how to create the princess darts. So the next thing is to draft the pattern for the back, and then also go ahead and then create the pattern for the monostrap, guys. So I had to split this video into about 3 parts because it was way too long. So to understand this, you have to watch the part 2 and the part 3, and I'm going to be putting the links in the description box, guys. So follow the links in the description box to watch this. Thanks for watching, guys. Ciao.